It's not on. Thank you. Okay, so let's see if everything is working. See if my okay. Um, yeah, we're not a government funded NGO or anything like that. We're not a big organization. We're just a family. We're just a Gold Star family that absolutely felt the evil when we called. Captain Yoshida was crying when we called that something was really, really wrong. And when they kicked us out, when they kicked Richard off the rolls, right? We knew something was wrong. And when we couldn't get any help, when they had put us in that um, ju- uh, jurisdictional limbo, we knew something was wrong, because you leave no soldier behind. And we knew that they were lying about Richard. Um, but everyone says, we want proof, we want proof. So we were just like, well, tell us, you're the CID, you're the FBI. Um, give, you know, give us more information, right? Give us those phone pings, but they obstructed justice on every front, on every front. And, but God is greater than they are, right? It's kind of like this whole thing with Letitia James. Um, you know, they always scream and do things that they are guilty of. And I don't want to call her guilty of all this document tampering, but but it is interesting that that's what she is being accused of right now, right? The very thing that she just weaponized the justice system against President Trump on, right? Clearly, it was a weaponization for political purposes, clearly for her own personal gain. So, yeah, let me see if everything is working. This is day 1721. And yeah, it looks like everything is working since Richard thank you, Anicia, for coming on. Thank you so much. I hope everything is working now. And I hope my titles get right. Yeah, so like I said, we're not a big organization. We're, just a family, and um making it through each day, trying to fit everything in that's going on. And there's a lot going on, y'all. There's a lot. So, so what do I want to talk about? Sean Bernabe, that Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, that's going viral again because he's active duty. And I want to make it very, very clear that from the beginning, we didn't have the robust mountain of hard evidence like we do now. That was almost 5 years ago. We didn't know what was going on, but we have worked day in and day out very, very hard. And I'm not putting a feather in my hat or anything. I'm just telling the truth. And if you've kept up with us, you would absolutely agree. Day in and day out, we have been working very hard behind the scenes, everything, um, getting that mountain of robust, hard evidence so that we can let uh, the world know, because this is an international crime, the world know what happened to our son and why. And so we can really tell you that Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe needs to be indicted for treason. And, it was really sweet timing that we put together. Well, his picture is on Wikipedia, and then you can just put treason across it. and post it up, right? And we did that. And then I saw news today that in the defense, they just walked out two members of Hegseth's team for treason. Um, and and I think that's what that is. That's treason. Um, so this was really very good timing, because we're not just blowing in the wind. We're not just doing lip service. We are absolutely, absolutely working very, very hard to get real accountability. And with Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, it would be very, very easy. So I think that that's going to happen. Very easy. It's kind of like with Leilani Hart, um, and we're going to be posting on that too because that's very easy. And she should have already been arrested. Uh, and so should Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, because there's so many reasons. We have the hard evidence of the cover up, um, of Nadal Baim, of the here he is trying to sell ammunition to the El Paso Police Department, but he is the father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Bugado in the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM right there on Fort Bliss. But Nadal Baim is not just that. He walks into a Dollar General and, uh, declares the search for Richard over. You can take down the flyers. That's a declaration. He's also, you know, um, saying that he's an FBI agent, and using that power to say to the cashier, who super brave. She's a top of our list, let me tell you. She's a top of our list. Um, wow. And we know who she is. She's a top of our list. And she was told, really ordered by him, to keep this a secret. When you wave around an FBI, um, even if you're an imposter, or maybe you are an informant or something like that, but when you wave around this title, right, that you are FBI, that gives you um, a position. That gives you, just people go, oh, okay, and they don't want to mess with you, right? That gives you power. It really gives you power. And that's what he did with her. But she knew something was up, and she gave us a call. And that's why we did receive the CCTV footage of Nadal Baim that corroborated everything she said. And not only that, she was willing to be on video. And we caught her on audio video, um, with less than an hour later after it happened. Less than an hour after it happened, with others that that corroborated everything that he said, that Richard's remains were found in Mexico, that he was dead, the search was over, and that was a secret. Um, Wowzer, right? The brazenness of that. So if you're brazen like that, then who are your connections, right? Besides Lieutenant Colonel Bradford Bugado, who are your connections? Because Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe could not ignore Nadal Baim like he did, and try to whitewash that and lie to us to our face about that, unless he had a dirty agent willing to help him. So when you think of Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, you need to think him married, like he's married to FBI Special Agent Jesus Nieto Jr. Okay? Those two, and I probably should make a meme of those two being married because they are absolutely joined, maybe conjoined twins, maybe conjoined twins. Those two are absolutely, and I would say really with Veronica Escobar, maybe they're triplets, maybe they're triplets, conjoined triplets, because Sean Bernabe could not ignore um, our video and our, or dismiss it. Dismiss is a better word. He could not dismiss it and cover it up without Dirty Agent Nieto and um, well, they're all cartel tied. Cartel tied, cartel operative, aiding and abetting the cartels. The aider and abetter, Veronica Escobar, right? The aider and abetter, Veronica Escobar. And she is. She's aiding and abetting a T organization. Absolutely. She's very criminal. And it is um, no coincidence that she was meeting with Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe to cover up Richard's case, okay? Because she denied us a congressional hearing, which is just absolutely, when you hear all of our evidence, you'll be like, what? Some people on the comments have said, this is surreal. This is surreal. It's real. It's real. And it's a huge wake up call for us as the family. It's been a huge wake up call because it is real. It's not a dream. It's not suppose. It's not apparently. It's not looks like. It is real. It is absolutely real. And Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe could not do his treasonous deeds, and they were absolutely treasonous, without the treasonous, um, dirty FBI agent Nieto, and with aider and abetter Veronica Escobar. Okay, so they absolutely worked together to not go anywhere with this very, very important lead, this very, very important fact that goes very deep, and it ties so much together. Um, eh, Nadal Baim ties a lot of things together. Okay, he ties a lot of things together. Um, so they worked very, very hard to keep that quiet. And I really should post up the whole video again, right? It's everywhere, but please post it. Please post it if you have it, or share it. It's so important. Um, but also that Sean Bernabe had the absolute obligation with Veronica Escobar, with Nieto, to do I want to call it an investigation? I don't know. When Judge Roger Rodriguez sent him the whistleblower, yeah, it's an investigation. The whistleblower complaint by Leilani Hart. And don't forget, that identified her as a suspect in the murder of our son, okay? Um, with her family member who she was having um, uh, sex cult activity with. That's the only way I can say it because everything else doesn't sound right. And um, when you read all the information, you're just like, oh my gosh, these are sex cult people. Sex cult people. So she's having a sex cult relationship with her cousin, I guess, or family member. Family member would be the right way to say it. Um, a CID agent, Tavita Nusa. Um, so witness corroborated. And also, who told us? James Hart. James Hart told me on the phone. I have it on record. Um, so that they are a family member, and he absolutely said, yeah, they are absolutely having a relationship, or activity, sexual activity with one another. So yeah, and of course others, but James Hart absolutely corroborated that to me. Um, and uh, that report, that whistleblower report by a judicial officer, by Judge Roger Rodriguez, that landed right there, addressed to Major General at the time, Sean Bernabe. Now he's a Lieutenant General. I don't know why they gave him. It makes you wonder who's on that Senate Arms Committee, right? Who's on that Senate Arms Committee that gave him a star? Yeah, I think that was a quid pro quo. I think it was a quid pro quo. It looks like it to me. It does. Um, and so, you know, landed on that desk, addressed to him the whistleblower complaint, after he had um, the Nadal Baim information, and also the Danae Katzen information, the cartel tied and also tied to Richard's unit, 14380A. Her husband, 14380A. Jonathan Ambrose was 14380A. Okay. Um, and you know, connected to Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, of the Walmart case, family member. Also, family member to Belen Rocha, who admitted, um, in writing, right, uh, to me, to me, um, said, yes, Richard called CPS multiple times on me, on Belen Rocha. Okay. So clearly, Richard was a whistleblower. Clearly, they've tampered with CPS. Um, CPS has obstructed justice. We have asked multiple times for those complaints. Um, so they absolutely are criminal, and we heard it from her mouth. Um, yeah, and then of course others. But so you have Danae Katzen, so connected and in the possession of Richard's credit cards. So you have her in the after his date of death, right? She's in possession of his credit cards. And what is she wanted for? For credit card theft, for theft of services. She's on the fugitive, most wanted. The most wanted. She's a fugitive. She's on the most wanted El Paso Police Department or most wanted list. So, that absolutely, she went on record. Danae Katzen went on record. Belen Rocha went on record. Leilani Hart went on affidavit style record because her confession was notarized. Her confession was notarized. Um, that gave huge validity to that confession. And then, of course, we have Judge Roger Rodriguez's whistleblower complaint that ties it all together, and identifies Leilani Hart and CID Tavita Nusa as suspect, and Dallas Hart as suspects in our son's murder. Now, Dallas Hart is the prime suspect. He was Richard's platoon leader. So, absolutely, he had the duty to act. And there's so much more because, if that, y- that's treasonous right there because he had the duty to act and he didn't. And putting forth a false narrative, um, it's, and people go, this is surreal. No, it's called deep state. It's called kept catching the deep state with their hand in the cookie jar. That's what this is called. Richard's case catches the deep state with their hand in the cookie jar because we absolutely, there's so much breaking news and everything that I want to say, but it's uh, the whole 15-6 with Sean Bernabe, everything with Sean Bernabe is so criminal. Um, Telling us that they take underage drinking seriously, right? They take underage drinking seriously while allowing a death camp to be built on Fort Bliss that has 10,000 beds, 10,000 children at a time being trafficked, hundreds of thousands of children being trafficked, now corroborated by so many witnesses, so many witnesses, um, and that they're mostly dead. And that's not me saying it. That's congressional hearings saying it. That's President Trump saying it. So, when I think of a death camp, trafficking 10,000 children at a time, hundreds of thousands of children, um, I think that happened in World War II. Uh, are you kidding me? Uh, it's just disgusting. It's just disgusting. So yes, he's treasonous, and there's just so much more um, about him that please ask me questions because I'm glad to answer the questions about him. Um, because I was telling him when he said, well, it wasn't him, it was his Jag, the Jag. The Jag was his mouthpiece, right? The Jag was moving him. Um, PP McGee, I call him PP McGee. And he was saying that Richard could get prison time or whatever, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying that you told him? That's intimidation of a whistleblower, right? That's intimidation of a whistleblower. So the failing of protecting a whistleblower, the failing of investigating, and I know, he came in late or whatever, but generals don't come in late. They know ahead of time. And um, after Vanessa Guillen, after Gregory Weddle, after Austin Hawk, after uh, so many, Elder Fernandez, Enrique Roman Martinez, after all of that, and they were, don't forget, also that DES Thomas Kane gave passes to carloads of young girls. Okay. I'm sure that they weren't even all 18. Okay. I'm sure because I talked to so many people. But these girls during the lockdown, um, so you had the base locked down, ordered to be locked down. And yet you had the DES, the Director of Emergency Services, give passes to these young girls to come in by the carloads, right? By the carloads. That was our witness testimony from many people, and for to party, and this was from Command Sergeant Major Jakovitz. This was not just some person off the street. This was Command Sergeant Major Jakovitz told us to our face that they were bringing in these girls to party in the barracks during the lockdown, breaching Fort Bliss security. They were breaching Fort Bliss security. And so, they could party. Um, and of course, we know about Asia Graham and about the mess that because these young girls, like Belen Roach, look, when I asked a question to Belen, all she could come back with was a laundry list of drugs, you know, illegal drugs. And she knew them, uh, like it was part of her body, like it was part of her body. So I thought when she was talking to me, I thought to myself, "Oh my gosh, she's what do you call it, a mule or whatever?" She's the one carrying these drugs because I didn't even know what she was talking about. I had to go look it up afterwards. And she's was very young. So they were bringing so um October 2020 she turned 18 years old. So they were bringing very young girls onto that barracks with substances. And all of this was known. The whistleblower report, Richard's whistleblower report, the Nadal Bayim, the Danae with the credit cards, with the connections, with the cartel, all the cartel connections with 3905 Bliss Avenue. All of this, Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe knew. And he sided with the cartel. He aided and abetted. He absolutely covered up. And those behind the cartel, because remember, there's people behind the cartel. And through all of the comments that we've been getting, some of those comments are say exactly that. Um, the cartel have others behind them, and it's $1 billion business. And we know who that is, the Mayella Crucius crime group, right? The Mayella Crucius crime group, which brings to another. You're telling me that Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe did not know about the Mayella Crucius crime group? He didn't know about the Walmart mass shooting? He didn't have inside knowledge to the Mayella Crucius crime group? That, here he had the dirty agent, the dirty FBI agent, Jesus Nieto, working with him to cover this up. See, uh, they were connected at the hips because he could not do what he did on Fort Bliss and to us and to the whistleblowers and allow these criminals to go unchecked without a dirty FBI agent. And that was Nieto. That was Eddie Nieto with, of course, his wife, Cynthia Hernandez, that works on Fort Bliss in intelligence. The intelligence community. EPIC, El Paso intelligence community. Um, so we've been saying that for a long, long time. And so absolutely Sean Bernabe knew about the Mayella Crucius crime group because it was reported in July of 2020. Okay, July 29th, 2020. It was reported. Right? Yeah. July 29th, 2020. When we read that, because we were looking up information about the Santa Teresa International Jetport, which is a big part of this, because if you're transporting hundreds of thousands of children, 10,000 children at a time on Fort Bliss trafficking, um, you're using not only trucks and and um, the containers, right? The tactical storage, moving storage units, and but you're also using planes. And it's been confirmed that those children were being flown all over, and that they're mostly dead. That's not me saying it. Those are other reports out there. Go and look. And 10,000 children at a time, that you just have to speak into your phone, get AI to come back, and it'll say, oh yeah, it could do 10,000. And it'll say, oh well, maybe it had 3,800. Don't believe it. Don't believe, it's like trying to believe Wikipedia. It gives you partial truth. That camp was huge. 10,000 at a time. It was a death camp. And they use those tactical move storage units. Um, I'm supposing. I'm wondering because they had to use trucks and vans and all of that, but they also used planes. They used planes. And we were looking up some information on that because of Richard's remains, to be honest with you. Richard's remains, because we have reports that some of his remains were flown out. And we want to corroborate that. We want to check that. And and of course the all the contraband, um, because of El Mayo. Um, there's just a lot of connections there because of Ray Velarde being connected to Richard, and it's just it's hard for people to comprehend and get their head around what we have been investigating because of the cartel connections and those behind the cartel and those that are covering for the cartel, like Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, and how they've destroyed the criminal justice system, and and how the Mayella Crucius crime group just has such a grip on El Paso. And it's clear, you're once you've gone over this for a while, you understand, okay, this is $1 billion operation. Of course, they're not going to uh, not protect it. They're not going to not grow and develop and have people in place in the criminal judicial system on their side, including a judge that is um, the chief medical examiner, right? So you've got an illegal chief medical examiner, you've got a corrupt criminal justice system. Well, it's an operative. It's an operative. It's not even operating. And you can look right at the Mayella Crucius crime group as the fault of it. And you're telling me that a 3-star general doesn't know what's going on with all of his intelligence and him having a dirty FBI guy right on his hip? Um, yeah, no, he knew. And it was all a cover up. And I can tell you, I was in the meetings with him that, he had gone to charm school a little bit and was trying to hypnotize us and charm us and that. And, um, the next time I see him, we have now a mountain of robust, hard evidence. And that, just put some handcuffs on him, right? And let's try him, because he's he's up to no good. Absolutely up to no good. And so let's talk about the Mayella Crucius crime group. So we know that Michael F. Mayella is the federal courthouse manager, a total access to all these cases, including Patrick Crucius's, who's his family member, because Patrick Crucius's brother is married to his daughter, Alexis Mayella, who's into medicine like the mother. Um, and then his son, Michael Gianni Mayella, was working for the Walmart cybersecurity, and he's a trained hacker. And he's working with Jesus Nieto in the FBI office. And he's working with DA Jaime Esparza, Mr. Conflict of Interest. My sister was in the Walmart mass shooting, and, I don't recuse myself because Joe Spencer got the open checkbook. Yee-hoo! He's got the open checkbook, so hand it over. Hand it over. I'm not going to recuse myself. That Jaime Esparza that goes and walks, tampers, really, he pollutes the crime scene. Um, and we have more, um, because he reported on it. He reported on it just like Joe Spencer did. Um, that he was walking amongst the bodies, and the phones were ringing. Their phones were ringing, trying to and their phones were ringing, y'all. And and he didn't even answer the phones for the family members. He didn't even answer the phones. He already had contaminated the crime scene. But he's just so inhumane. He didn't even answer the phones, to say, look, uh, you know, I can't tell you anything, but you need to contact so and so. No, the phones kept ringing off the hook. Um, uh, at the crime scene, because these victims were no longer able to answer their phone, of course. They were no longer with us. And it's just so inhumane. Um, he stayed on the case. He stayed on the case um, for almost 2 years. And it's so criminal. So, Joe Spencer, uh, yeah, they're all connected with the Mayella Crucius crime family, because Michael Mayella was working with Jaime Esparza. Michael Mayella was working with Nieto. Michael Mayella was working with Priscilla Mata. Michael Mayella was working at Walmart cybersecurity, right? And his father was the federal courthouse manager, and his brother-in-law was Patrick Crucius. Right? And so this is, and his brother-in-law was also Brian Blake Crucius. Okay. He's also very handy with finances and the computer and finances and banking and finances. And wow, they have their businesses will require someone with the skills like Brian Blake Crucius. He's handy to have as a son-in-law, very handy to have. Um, so they are absolutely the Mayella Crucius crime group. But it goes beyond that. It goes to Lorraine Mayella, who absolutely, we have it confirmed now, was treating the victims and their families of the Walmart mass shooting as an initial response to the Walmart case. And that put her in a very important role. And she got to, she's mental health, right? And so to be trained counselor um, to these victims and their families. And, that role is very important because you can control narratives. You can also collect a lot of witness testimonies, which is you can hear what they saw and what evidence there is. And if you're trying to cover up for the crime, that's very important information. Very important information. So, Lorraine Mayella, um, and of course, I want to say that Emily Megan Crucius is also in the mental health business, um, which is a little odd. I think a little odd. Maybe not. Maybe it's not. Um, and you would think that Bob Moore would be reporting on this because this is huge news, and he absolutely knows. He absolutely knows about the Mayella Crucius family. This crime is so big. This crime is so big. With Mr. Joe Open Checkbook Spencer and the conflicts of interest, and Steven Spitzer being a friend. Here he is, a prosecutor, and being a friend with the Mayellas, personal relationship with the Mayellas, knowing and keeping this information from the public. And as medical, it Lorraine Mayella absolutely had a duty to recuse herself, absolutely tell people that no, she could, and who Patrick Crucius was, all of his mental health problems. They absolutely knew, y'all. I mean, that's her business. But it gets worse because not only did she fail to uh, reveal the relationship that her daughter Alexis Mayella had with Patrick Crucius and Patrick Crucius's brother, but she asked the media to cover it up. Michael Mayella and Lorraine Mayella asked the media to cover it up. And the media, would want a quid pro quo, you know, access to cases, access to whatever, whatever. Um, and so this was absolutely a quid pro quo. It's so criminal, y'all. And the people with, if you're an investigator or whatever, just look it up. It's just so criminal. And you would think that Bob Moore, who's disgraced and disgraced Bob Moore, um, you would think he would report on it. But no, what he did report on, um, played our tune again, right? He might be getting really sick of playing our tune. And our tune is the Gold Star family of Richard Halliday is right all along. The Gold Star family of Richard Halliday is right again, is right again. And I don't know if he likes playing that tune, but he played it. He played it today because he's talking about the jurisdiction of the state case. And he's saying that Patrick Crucius may die in the state case. Now, he's so cold blooded, right? He's so cold blooded, but that's what he's saying. Um, because the state indicted Patrick Crucius first. And so they had the original jurisdiction. They had the original jurisdiction. And this is what Yvonne Rosales was saying. She was saying they had original jurisdiction and that she had a right to try to put a trial date. And they were saying, no, it's in the federal court's jurisdiction now. And we have Joe Open Checkbook Spencer admitting on audio, and I released the transcript just a few minutes ago, um, saying that they had made, that Judge Samadrano and Judge David Guadarrama, made a backroom deal without notifying Yvonne Rosales, the duly elected district attorney for the 34th Judicial District. Um, we haven't had we haven't had a duly elected, installed properly. We haven't had a DA. We have, it's an empty absent seat, which is not allowed. And there it is. It's an empty. I don't even think that James Montoya has his name up on the wall, and he shouldn't, because he's not a legitimate district attorney. He did not sign that anti-bribe line before, he's Mr. James 2028 stamp Montoya, right? With a 2028 stamp on his paperwork. I mean, the most ridiculous kind of tampering. And because he didn't sign his anti-bribe statement before he took his oath of office. Same thing with Bill Hicks. He's a usurper. He was never a legitimate district attorney. Everything he touched was botched, and so therefore he didn't do much, right? He didn't do much, especially with the Walmart case. But Yvonne Rosales wanted to bring it to trial, and she had original jurisdiction, and she had the right to do that. And they just went absolutely bonkers on her, didn't they? They did such a bad job, um, lying about the situation. And now, really, I think that Bob Moore with El Paso Matters, and it's a 501c3, so they're really in trouble, because they absolutely worked very, very hard to remove and replace Yvonne Rosales. That's obstruction. It's just horrible what they did. And now he's admitting that he obstructed justice. He's admitting that he was wrong, and that the Halliday family, we were right all along. We had this audio recording, and we've filed that. We've absolutely filed that, to say that, the state case has the original jurisdiction. And that's why in his um, article today, he's saying that Patrick Crucius may die in the state jail, that he will never go. He could never, ever, he might not ever go to the Alcatraz of the Rockies. Never. Because they don't have original jurisdiction. So the whole thing is really something, because that's coming up. Um, I believe it's April 21st, that they will have the sentencing. I guess it's a plea deal for Patrick Crucius. Um, and where's the media? Because, we've got all this information that the Mayellas, you cannot cover up the fact that the Mayella's daughter is married to Patrick Crucius's brother, and that Michael Gianni Mayella was working in the Walmart the Walmart cybersecurity, the DA's office, and the FBI's office. You cannot hide that, right? And you cannot hide that Lorraine Mayella was treating um, the mental health, interviewing everything, listening to what they had to say, collecting that data, as the family member of Patrick Crucius, the alleged shooter, right? You know, you just can't make this stuff up, that that's what they were doing. and absolutely connected to all the other nonsense that's going on. So that's, I hope that I got everything. It's a crazy day, lots of information, lots to file, lots to document. You know, you have to identify the crime and document the crime, um, and then you have to file it. So lots going on. And I just want to thank everyone for sharing those posts because that is like, that's the goal that everybody wants in this business, right? Um, uh, y- you know, when they want accountability, that's what gives it. That's what it is, the government of the people, by the people, for the people in this country, right? Um, we are so powerful and we don't even know how powerful we are. And it is because people will share information. They don't want that information to be shared. Look at how many articles have you read about the illegitimate imposter judges that are ruining, absolutely ruining the beautiful El Paso criminal law magistrate court. You know, you've got this beautiful court, and yet um, it's totally illegitimate because those judges are not elected. They're not elected. So, you know, where is all of that? Where is the reports on Mario Raskin Ortiz? I mean, that's almost a $500,000 a year. Probably a 500,000 because he charges to testify in different cases. So, yeah, it's huge. So of course, in Richard's case, right? In Richard's case, but it's getting there, and I think everyone can see it. But it's only to see when you share, when you comment. And I just want to say thank you so much for all the shares and all the comments. Um, that will get us justice, and that will get El Paso also justice. You know, this is about Richard, but this is about El Paso. Has been so disenfranchised by this criminal group, the Mayello Crucius criminal group. So, which includes Veronica Escobar. Okay, I just want to make sure you know it does include Veronica Escobar. And I just want to thank everyone so much for the shares. God bless you, and I will be back tomorrow.